All right, guys, I'm going to spool things up here.
We're all secure in the back, sir.
All right, thank you.
Eagle 3, go ahead.
Eagle 3 is off of CJC, 4 souls on board. We've got 2 hours and 5 minutes of fuel remaining and estimate the scene in 7 minutes and ready for coordinates.
Kickoff, you are responding to a trauma. It's an MVA. Ground contact area is just a fire over fire mutual aid. Closest trauma area is Liberty Research. Trauma area next level 1. Your LZ will be in a baseball field.
Copy all, thanks.
Eagle 2 is just a couple minutes out. We're coming in from the south.
Okay, I've got a visual on you. I count you're going to make 1-9-2 recon.
Roger, I have you in sight. The road in sight. And I'll line up on you.
Eagle 3 is off scene, 4 souls on board, 1 hour and 50 minutes of fuel remaining and estimate in 10 minutes.
I think a core difference that LifeFlight Eagle has is a mindset that says our priority is to be safe. But then we want to reach out to the next level and share with you how we got there. And what's making LifeFlight Eagle different is our commitment to the community and to you, EMS and the hospitals. We want everyone to have confidence that what we're doing is safe, it is well-founded, but it's more than simply words. It's how we live. It's how we live every day and how we prepare ourselves to be able to commit to those principles and those tenets, but how we want also to take that next step of assuring that all of us can benefit from each other's learnings.
Scene, 4 souls on board, 1 hour and 30 minutes of fuel remaining.
Children's Mercy Critical Care Transport. We do interfacility transport of neonatal and pediatric children and actually bring Children's Mercy to the bedside to stabilize those children and bring them back to Kansas City. This helicopter is unique in that we only do interfacility transports. We only do hospital-to-hospital landing, mainly on helipads. Our helicopter is a little bit different than the LifeFlight Eagle Bell 407s. It's an EC-145 twin-engine, medium-sized helicopter that allows us to carry special equipment that we need to care for infants and children. Children's Mercy Critical Care Transport's safety program mirrors LifeFlight Eagle from the beginning of the call, from the dispatch to when we are en route, to when we're actually caring for the patient at the bedside, and then en route back to the hospital. The new aircraft just enhances those things that we've done all along. It allows us to provide some advanced technologies, utilize our night vision goggles such as LifeFlight Eagle uses. We may not be flying to scenes like our partners and colleagues with LifeFlight Eagle, but we fly to helipads, and helipads can be a big risk as well. One of the most important things that you can do to help us ensure the safety of our crew and our patients and your patients is to help us maintain the integrity of the helipads.
Today we're at the downtown airport in Kansas City, and their helipad is very typical of any other helipad that we would fly into. What we would like is, before we land and on a daily basis, is for you to inspect the helipad for any loose debris and objects, such as a rock or something simple as a Coke bottle or a plastic bottle. For these objects can become flying missiles, and they can damage our aircraft also. This is Children's Mercy's Critical Care Transport EC-145. EC-145 can carry a maximum of 229 gallons of Jet A fuel. Also, in addition to that, is our liquid oxygen, which is on both sides of the aircraft. One of the main differences between our program and LifeFlight Eagle's program is that we only do interfacility transports. That's going from one hospital to another. And what our expectations when we arrive on a helipad is that you have already done the maintenance of the helipad, the daily checklist, you removed all the fob, that you've blocked off roadways along the helipad, and that you've kept pedestrians back at least 100 feet from the helipad itself. Once we arrive at your facility, the main thing you need to remember is that this is a self-contained system. That means we have a stretcher within the aircraft and that we will come to you. You should never have to approach the aircraft to help us load or unload the patient. Sometimes we will do it with the rotors still turning, depending on the severity of the child, and sometimes we will do it with the rotors shut down. But again, the main thing to remember is that we will always come to you. Once we landed, one of our crew members will get out and come play the tail guard with their arms out to keep the rest of the crew as they unload the stretcher from moving into the danger zone back by the tail rotor. Our crew is now inside your facility going through the process of transferring care. One thing you need to know is that anytime the aircraft is on your helipad, you need to maintain security of that helipad. This is to keep the road traffic back and the pedestrian traffic back. Typically, our pilot will stay with the aircraft. Occasionally, he may have to lift to go get fuel for a longer flight and then come back. So again, the helipad must remain secured until we have loaded the patient and departed.
No two flights are exactly alike. No two takeoffs are the same. No two landings are ever the same. And no two landing zones are ever the same, even if it's the same one going in the next day. I will guarantee you something there has changed. You know, complacency is one of the worst things that can creep into our business, especially for pilots and crew members who also get that feeling, well, you know, I've been into that hospital pad so many times, and all of a sudden, well, today is different because security didn't stop the baby stroller, or you know, the trash can blew over. So we always try to treat each and every operation as though it's the first one, and we always keep everybody's eyes outside the aircraft. Everybody looks for anything that could possibly cause us harm. Normally when a call comes into the communication center at LifeFlight Eagle, whether it be from an EMS first responder on a scene or whether it be from a hospital, those calls will then go to the nearest aircraft. We will receive that notification, and that puts us in motion, and the first thing that normally we're going to be doing is checking the weather. We have very few mechanical malfunctions, we have very few personnel malfunctions, but weather is always an underlying cause in just about any aviation mishap that there is. So we take weather very seriously, and nobody leaves the ground without making a check.
Eagle 2, check with EOC.
Eagle 2, check in with EOC.
We accept the flight with the communications center. They notify the requester that we're on the way. We get in, strap in, we go through our starting and our run-up checks, and we head for the scene or the hospital.
All right, guys, I'm going to spool things up here. We're all secure in the back, sir. All right, thank you.
Once we lift off, we will tell our communications center that we are en route and we're expecting 10 minutes en route, for example. When we get about 3 or 4 minutes out, normally we will attempt to contact the ground agency, usually on Fire Mutual Aid. In Missouri, it's almost always Fire Mutual Aid. Kansas does have some different frequencies.
On the fire engine 3, LifeFlight Eagle 2.
Engine 3, go ahead.
Once we make that contact, we're going to be asking the ground commander for a landing zone briefing or landing zone information. What we really need is, we really need to know the description of the landing zone, where it's located, and what it is, whether it's an open field, a ball diamond, whatever, those things. We need to know what kind of surface it is, whether it's whether there's loose gravel on the surface, whether there's a slope to the surface, or things like that. We need to know if there are power lines, power poles, any trees, fences, fence posts, tree stumps on the ground if they're landing us in the field. Any information that they can get to us will make our job easier, because that gives the pilot an opportunity to visualize in his mind what he's going to see when he gets there.
Good afternoon. LifeFlight Eagle 2 is just a couple minutes out. We'll be coming in from the south.
Okay, I copy. You'll be coming in from the south in about 2 minutes. We've got a large area, approximately 250 feet square. Some trees out by the asphalt road. That'll be on your west side. Water's going to be on the east side. Plenty of room in between. Very slight angle. Light breeze from the south.
When we get there, we will normally contact the ground commander and tell him that we have the LZ in sight. The LZ commander can expect that we will always do at least one orbit above the scene before we attempt to land. When we're doing that one orbit, that gives the pilot a chance to verify in his mind what he has just been told by that ground commander. It gives him a chance to identify and locate any of the obstacles that he may have been told of. It gives him a chance to decide what his approach direction is going to be, what his departure direction is going to be, whether there are any good forced landing areas if there's a problem on the approach or the departure. And then we'll set up for the approach.
Fire engine 3, Eagle 2, turning final here to land on the fuel.
We have our certain checklists that we go through, that the pilot is ready, the crew is ready, everything is secured in the aircraft before we start the approach. And after that, it's just take the approach down to the scene.
Once the aircraft is safely landed, most of the time we're going to come to you and the patient. However, in the event that we don't come to you, you'll be motioned by either the pilot or the med crew to approach the aircraft. When you do, approach at a 45-degree angle, keeping eye contact with the pilot at all times. The reason we have you approach at the 45-degree angle is because when the rotor blades are turning, the lowest point of the rotor blades is out off the nose of the aircraft at the 12 o'clock position. The other dangerous area we worry about is towards the back, towards the tail rotor, which is the lowest turning point on these aircraft. On our particular aircraft, we do not want you going past this line. Anything behind this line, behind our Eagle, is a no-go zone. There's nothing but danger back here, and we have no reason to go behind this. Once we get to the ground, we're going to walk over to the patient. We're going to be carrying either our sled or our equipment, depending on whether it's a medical scene or a trauma scene. We're going to approach you. Either the nurse or the paramedic will take a report from the leading paramedic on the scene. The other crew member will assess that patient. Once we assess our patient, we're going to package them up, make sure everything's safe and secure and ready for them to go flying. And then we're going to take the minimum amount of people necessary to carry the patient safely to the aircraft without injuring anybody with lifting techniques. If we're going over rough ground, obviously it's going to take more people than just a few of us. It's your job to secure any loose clothing articles that might blow away. If it does blow away, please don't chase it. It could go into a place that could get you into some trouble. You can pick it up after we're gone. So we're going to need you to secure it all. You're going to be motioned to the aircraft by either the pilot or one of the med crew. When you approach the aircraft, you're going to approach at a 45-degree angle, keeping eye contact with the pilot at all times. Our flight crews will open the doors for you. There's nothing you'll have to do with it. The biggest thing you can do to help us is assist us with lifting the equipment. However, with all the blades turning and everything during a hot load, there is some other dangerous areas that you need to worry about. The skid tubes and the skid step both are tripping hazards, particularly in wet and dark conditions. You might not see them due to the black paint on the tops. You can also bang your knees and twist your legs in between the two as we're loading the patient. This is a foot-first loading mechanism. The feet go up next to the pilot and the head and torso are back here so we can manage the patient's medical needs as necessary. Once we load the patient on there, we're going to secure them with the straps. If they're on the backboard, they'll already be secured. If it's a medical patient, we'll secure them prior to bringing them to the aircraft. After that, the medical crew will put the sled and patient back in the aircraft and secure them for flight. We'll close the aircraft up as we direct you away from the aircraft. We'd like you to back up approximately 100 to 150 feet outside the rotor disc. We'll button the aircraft up. We'll kind of give it a good once over, make sure everything's good to go, and we're going to be going. Please keep the LZ open until you can no longer hear our rotor blades. In the event we have a problem with the aircraft, we're going to return to that secured LZ, and it's going to be a nice, safe place for us to land.
LifeFlight Eagle and PHI have equipped all of their aircraft and their crews with night vision goggles. They are, in my humble opinion, a huge, huge safety factor. One flight with goggles will make anyone a believer, and you don't want to fly without them ever again. PHI, our air operator, believes so strongly in the use of night vision goggles. If you don't have them, you don't fly. If we are conducting a night operation, especially a night scene flight, everything is pretty much the same as we discussed for a day scene. The only thing is that we will be using the night vision goggles. The old myth about having lights bleach out your night vision goggles is no longer true, especially a night scene flight. Leave everything on, it will not phase those goggles whatsoever. We believe very strongly in the goggles. If you've ever worn them once, you'll never want to fly at night without them. They are a huge safety asset. They literally turn night into day.
There are tremendous learnings that EMS agencies and hospital-based safety programs have. We need to integrate them. And part of our getting ourselves well aligned internally just makes us stronger to be able to step outside and learn and teach and share and just elevate all of our levels of safety. We want to be part of what you're doing, and we want to do that in a way that you continue to feel comfortable, safe, and continue to use LifeFlight Eagle as one of the partners in taking care of your patients.
Ground contact, we have just a fire over fire mutual aid. Closest trauma center is Liberty Research. Truman's giving your next level 1. Your LZ will be in a baseball.